Would you please state your name for the audience of out there in America, please?
Shelley Anderson.
Hi, Shelley. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine. You know, we were just in conversation not too long ago. We were talking about volunteering. Could you please state your opinion about people in America volunteering?
Sure. I think that everybody, no matter what their place in life is, if you want to use that term, should be volunteering. I think we're all given talents that we were meant to, if not used professionally, definitely to be used in the community, whatever that is for you. So it doesn't matter where you are, everybody has some time that they could volunteer. So it's your goal, or it should be your purpose, to find out what you have passion for and where your talents can be used to volunteer.
So what gives you your passion to volunteer?
Because I live in a world where I see a lot of young people not fulfilling. I don't know what people's destiny is, but I believe the first thing that a young person should do is graduate high school, and I would like to be a part of this organization to at least help one or two or however many kids get through their studies and hopefully on the path of graduating high school, and then they take it that next step. But the first step has to be graduating high school. So every kid in America should be graduating high school.
So what city do you live in?
Sacramento.
Sacramento? Mm-hmm. And what part of Sacramento do you live in?
I live in South Sacramento.
South Sacramento. Does it have a name? There's a lot of areas in Sacramento. You have Florin, you have Oak Park, you have Tahoe.
Honestly, I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm not sure what my area is called.
Okay.
So I'm not familiar with all those names.
Okay. So tell me something. You know, we were launching I.C.A.R.E, Inner City Arms Around Education. What do you think about I.C.A.R.E?
I think that I think it's up to each community to support those in the community. So if your community has a lot of kids that need help with their education, then that's what the community should be doing, or whatever the needs are. I believe of supporting the community you live in, period. That's what I believe. I think that as it moves out, the government or other areas can support in different ways, but I believe that, and within a community, we know the needs, and therefore we supply the needs, we provide for those needs appropriately, as opposed to a bigger governing area coming in and trying to answer this question.
Do you think that we have a youth crisis in America today?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think that?
I think that statistics, I'm not in that so much. I don't have any children, but I have heard statistically the low graduation rate. I see the unfortunately high unemployment among young kids, and I just think that the kids don't have the guidance at home. I know parents have to work, and there's a lot of single-family homes. I think the kids are left a lot on their own, to pull their own weight when they're young, and it's too hard. So sometimes the community has to come in and help with that. I'd like it to be at the homes. I'd like it for the families to be doing that. But if unfortunately that's not happening, then I think the community can come around and help them. Not do it for them. They have to do it. But I think that if you show that you care for them and you encourage them, then they'll have higher self-esteem and they'll want to do it themselves. And they'll work towards that. It might be hard, but if you have people in your life that are willing to give up their time to help you, then I think that can encourage them to work hard and get it done.
So what do you think about the drug use and substance abuse issue that we have amongst young teens today?
I just think it's devastating. I didn't do that when I was young, and I think once you unfortunately start younger and younger, the more you're involved with that, the less value I think you have in other things. And then you start living your life just day to day, getting high, and everything else loses interest. And everything's a big game. Everything has to be exciting, or everything has to have some pizzazz to it, or you don't want anything to do with it. And I think it just deadens your spirit to succeed. Quote, succeed. I'm not saying get straight A's and be Einstein in college. I'm just saying get through the basics of arithmetic and history and English. Those things, just get through those things. But no, I think that drug abuse is horrifying.
What do you think about teen pregnancy?
I
You think it's higher, has gone higher since you were a teen as opposed to the way it is in 2013?
I would imagine that it's higher. I think that it's more acceptable it's way more acceptable for young people to have sex as young people, and so I don't see a deterrent for it. I see it's almost promoted in the schools. If I have my way, I'd be teaching abstinence. It's okay to say no. It's okay to wait. It's too hard to get involved with that and try and. Once you do that, you lose sight of other things.
Why do you say it's promoted in schools?
I just think I think the fact that they don't, they feel that it's not right to talk about abstinence. That if you're not talking about saying it's okay to not do it, then I think you're providing condoms in the classroom and not having a serious look at this. From what I've heard, and I'm not a kid, and I don't have any kids. So from what I've heard of the education in the classrooms, it's not a real deterrent to talk about the diseases that can happen. To not talk about, forget where you stand religiously. Excuse me. Then I think that you should look at why not wait? Why not wait? And why if everyone's so in a hurry to grow up and do this?
Okay.
And then you get pregnant, and then maybe, and I would say that I would want you to have an abortion, and then you have that issue to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And then society will tell you, well, if you get pregnant, your life's over, so then you may have to have an abortion, and then you have that issue that you have to deal with. It's just okay to wait.
Do you think there's a need for a campaign for youth?
Sure. I think people need to realize that it doesn't take much to invest. Forget the money, forget the government. As a society, we have to invest in our children, whatever that may mean. As I said before, everybody has different passions for this. But I think all of us would agree that if we have a healthy youth or a healthy youth community, then the world would be better. I think it's you're kidding yourself if you say, I don't have any kids, it doesn't affect me, that it does. These kids are out in the world, they're in the restaurants, they're in the shopping mall, they're at the gas station, and so their bad lives, if that's what they have, will affect us one way or another. So if we invest in them now at a young age, again, I think the biggest thing is if you graduate high school, you're that much ahead and you've accomplished that. That's at minimum. And I'm not saying college is for everybody necessarily. There's plenty of good jobs that you can get that doesn't require a college education or a college degree. But I think you have to get them through high school. It's a huge milestone to do that.
So your opinion, based upon what you've shared with us today, is that you can change my words, or if I'm not quoting you, but if I'm sharing correctly, that you think our youth today are not receiving the same quality of love that was given in the 60s and 70s to young children?
I don't think, you are misquoting me. I don't think I would say quality of love, because I'm certainly not going to judge parents who may not be able to be in the home helping their children with school or whatever. I'm not going to at all begin to judge that. I'm just saying they're not getting the quality of attention, which I think is different. I think that, and I don't think the encouragement to stay in school. I think that the idea that they cannot graduate high school is okay, because it must be, because there's a huge amount that aren't. So I don't know how that happened. I thought you had to be in school until you're at least 18. Once you turn 18, then you can quit if you want. So the idea that kids are dropping out in high school, I don't know. And what are they doing if they're dropping out? That's certainly going to be a burden on society, because most likely they're going to have to get welfare system. You know what I mean? So I think it's the quality of attention.
Okay.
And lots of different issues have come up that, with ADD, ADHD, autism. There's lots of things that have come up that weren't so prevalent back in the day. And they're having to deal with different situations in the classroom they didn't have to before. So that's a challenge. But instead of just throwing more money at it, we need to really figure out what's the best way to handle those situations.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to thank you for your input. Surely it means a lot to those listeners. And I hope that something that you said was able to touch somebody's heart to say, we need to give more time. We need to give more attention. We need to be willing to volunteer and to understand that we do have a youth crisis that also